What is going on, guys, and welcome back to another episode of Star Wars Galaxy of Heroes, where today we are on our 31st in-depth character review, and we look at the happiest legless person out there in the game, and that is Darth Sidious. Now, if you don't know what I mean by legless, just check this out. What are those? Getting back on topic here, let's go ahead and pull up the Hall of Fame, which I recently completed in a previous video of mine. So if you want to learn all about the rankings and why these characters landed on here, feel free to click on the little card up in the top right corner. But we placed Darth Sidious as a master. He didn't get a complete rework, but he did get some tweaks that made him quite good nowadays. So I will tell you all about that. And to tell you all about that, I have a combination of Gear 11 Darth Sidious with Zeta and without Zeta. And for each battle you see, I will tell you if he is Zeta'd or not, so you can see the difference of him performing. But as we always do it on this channel, let's first talk about Darth Sidious's role in the Star Wars universe. Born on the planet of Naboo, Darth Sidious, or also known as Sheev Palpatine, orchestrated one of the most elaborate plans to take over the galaxy. 13 years prior to declaring himself as the Emperor, Sidious was responsible for creating a political crisis in Naboo, which served as his foundation to become Supreme Chancellor. After the Naboo crisis being resolved and Maul being defeated, Sidious took Dooku as his new apprentice and formed the Confederacy of Independent Systems to start what we came to know as the Clone Wars. And towards the end of the Clone Wars, Sidious commanded Anakin and the Clone Trooper to execute Order 66, which signaled the fall of the Jedi Order and the rise of the First Galactic Empire. In Star Wars Galaxy of Heroes, Sidious continues to thrive off the fall of his enemies, and his thirst for unlimited power drives his desire to crush his enemies with demoralizing blows that expose their weaknesses. If you want to learn more about Darth Sidious, I highly recommend watching the Clone Wars TV series. It is such a great show and you learn so much about him. But we need to go and talk about Sidious in Star Wars Galaxy of Heroes, and we first start off with how do we unlock this character? For the longest time, you could always find Darth Sidious in the Chromium packs, which he still is there if you want to buy him. Although this pack expired last week, you could have purchased Darth Sidious in the Sith Order bundle for $19.99. You get a random assortment of gear and you get 80 shards of him to unlock him at 4 stars, which a lot of people actually did go ahead and buy. But the most popular method to farm, in which I recommend doing this, and it's really easy to do so, is in arena shipments. For 400 squad arena currency, you will get 5 shards of Darth Sidious. And the estimated time for the free-to-play person to get him to 7 stars is roughly like this. If you can at least place in the 2,501 to 5,000 rank, you should be able to buy 5 shards of him. If you place higher, you can get about 10 to 15 shards a day. So my estimated time, assuming all else is constant, it's going to be roughly 22 to 66 days to get Darth Sidious to 7 stars. With that out of the way, let's talk about the stats of Darth Sidious before we consider mods, abilities, leadership, all that fun stuff. And we first dive right into the pros, where we first see that he is a super fast character in the game. Number 7 in speed. The average speed in this game is 127, and Darth Sidious is at 161. So great to see his speed is matched to how he was in Star Wars The Clone Wars. Next up, we have number 5 for AoE, with the average being 2,926. Darth Sidious is now at 3,681. He got a bump in his damage output, and it was seen here. Before he was much lower, now he is pretty high up here. But following this, like AoE, we have more damage output stuff, where he is number 32 in maximum basic damage. The average is 4,349, and Sidious got bumped up to 4,637. So another good bump for Darth Sidious. Moving along this happy train, we see he is at number 24 for armor penetration. The average is 52, and Darth Sidious is 69, and as we will see in his abilities, he's often able to just completely ignore the enemy's defenses, so that is great. 2 more things to go, with the next one being number 37 for armor. The average being 225, Darth Sidious is at 237. The last thing that I'd like to point out is that he has a base 15% health steal on top of all the other health bonuses he gets from his kit, so this means he'll be regenerating health quite frequently. Darth Sidious is one of those characters that actually really does not have anything on average when looking at the major stats, so that means we gotta go straight into the stuff that Chewbacca wants to cry about. He's got some pretty bad stuff going on. Luckily, his kit addresses some of it, but not all of it, and the first thing you need to know about is protection. Number 96 in protection. Ouch! The average being 19,772. Darth Sidious is at 13,251, so very low down there. And the next thing that we have is number 92 in health. Average being 19,228. Sidious is at 15,013, so still below the average, also below the median if you are curious, but fortunately his Zeta ability does address this a little bit. Moving on this pain train, we see he is number 67 in maximum damage. Average is 5,522, and Darth Sidious is below this at 4,637. Not horrible, but still starting to be in that bad territory. And lastly, number 78 in potency. This used to be way lower before Gear 11 was ever a thing for Darth Sidious. With the average being 31%, Sidious is now at 22%, so still low, a lot higher than before. It used to be at pretty much 0%. If you mod Sidious correctly, or if you go ahead and give his Zeta, then this pretty much never becomes a problem. These numbers don't really tell the full story, so let's make our picture a bit broader by looking at his abilities and see how everything starts to connect. First off, we have Deathstroke. He deals physical damage to a target enemy and inflicts healing immunity for 3 turns, with a 50% chance doubled if the target is debuffed to ignore defense, and this does 4,197 to 4,637. The healing immunity is also useful again now that we have Barris's Zeta, we have Nihilus leads, Palpatine leads, and all this heal over time. It makes healing immunity quite a popular debuff to have nowadays. But in my opinion, the thing that makes Darth Sidious great is demoralizing blows. He deals physical damage to all enemies and inflicts damage over time and expose for 2 turns. And if he makes a critical hit, he applies an additional 2 damage over time. And this has a 4-turn cooldown. I especially love Darth Sidious for this, and this is the reason that makes him really good nowadays. It's especially great when using it with Darth Vader, so he can go ahead and toss his Culling Blade with even more damage over time, and it's even great for the Rancor raid. When paired with Maul's lead, he is often the first one to attack and setting up his fellow Sith for big attacks, with Expose being on everyone. His leader ability is probably the most unimpressive thing about him, and to make my point, I'm showing you 2 clips with characters with the same odds, same enemy, but different leaderships. First one, you will see Darth Sidious leading, but I get absolutely destroyed. I don't even think I get even more than 2 attacks out. Second time, I go ahead, toss in my Darth Maul lead, and I fight more competitively, but the point goes to show that Darth Sidious might not be the best leader for Arena. But what his leader ability does, known as Unlimited Power, is that he grants all allies 15% critical chance and 30% critical damage. Sith allies gain 2% offense until the end of the battle when they score a critical hit. So way back when, he used to be the best leader a long time ago. Still not as impressive as many other leaders today, despite the minor touches. If increasing critical damage and critical chance is your goal, you might want to go with Boba Fett, since he gives plus 50% critical damage and plus 10% critical chance. However, the Sith bonus is stackable, and every critical hit will keep increasing the offense of Sith by 2%. This is actually mainly beneficial for the AAT raid. A lot of people out there use Darth Sidious, and you get some decent damage out of it. But for Arena, if offense is your goal, you might want to go ahead and use Darth Vader or Darth Nihilus, since they go ahead and from the very start give you a lot of extra damage output. So out of all the things, Darth Sidious could still use some improvement here to make him stand out. Lastly, his Zeta ability, known as Sadistic Leaf. If you're not going to Zeta him, this is what it looks like. Sidious recovers 20% of his max health whenever any unit is defeated, with a 25% chance to also gain 50% turn meter. In addition, he has 35% evasion against Jedi attacks. this is what it looks like with the Zeta. He essentially gets a 100% chance to gain 50% turn meter, and he also gets plus 50% potency and gains max health equal to his potency percentage. I personally already find him to be good before the Zeta, but after the Zeta, he becomes a lot better. Of course, you can always go ahead and just give him a potency mod to make him better, but the thing is, with the Zeta, he increases his health quite a lot. If he has 100% potency, his health would essentially double, making his health almost 30,000. This ability will not be able to regenerate under a Nihilist Lead, keep that in mind. And the other benefits I see is the constant turn meter gain and not just the chance to get one. And this makes him like a Darth Maul 2.0, and he will constantly participate in battle anytime someone is defeated. Last objective thing I want to talk about is the gear requirements, and he is quite a difficult character to gear. Raid gear, he has the highest requirement. Him and 2 others need 7 pieces of raid gear. Now, he only needs 6 to get to gear 11, and then 1 piece of raid gear is needed at gear 11, but in total, he will need 3 Mark 5 fusion furnaces, 2 Mark 6 Nubian design techs, 2 Mark 7 Nubian scanners, and 1 of those scanners will be needed at gear 11. Gold gear, he's pretty much on average. He needs 220 pieces in total, with 2 Mark 8 biotech implants being needed, and the good thing is he only needs them at gear 11 and does not need any gold gear to get from gear 10 to gear 11. For purple gear, he is above average, but keep in mind most of this purple gear is needed for the raid gear already, so don't double count this too much. Average amount of purple gear is 1,119, and Darth Sidious is at 1,230, making him number 35 for purple pieces. The most popular piece you're going to need are the Mark 6 hypo syringes. He will need 300 of these, and that's mainly due to the huge furnace requirement that he needs. Lastly, for blue, green, and white gear, he is above average for green and white, but super high for blue. He is number 33 for blue requirements, with 386 pieces being needed, and the most popular blue piece you will need for him are the Mark 3 droid collars, which he will need 140 of those. Time to put on my subjective hat, where we talk about my thoughts on this character, his mortal enemies, best friends, mods, do or do not checklist. So we first get right into my thoughts. Sidious was my very first 7-star character in the game, and it was a really exciting moment to get to that point. Once protection and mods came to the game, Sidious nearly vanished out of nowhere, and healing immunity became a much less important debuff. Although this is not a complete overhaul rework like Kylo Ren or Boba Fett, the touches added were just what he needed to become good again. Debuffs, buffs, and healing are a huge part of the game now, and Sidious helps control a lot of that and use a lot of that to his benefit. Expose helps your team pierce through the enemy's health pool a lot faster, and the damage over time really does stack up, especially when you have Vader by your side. Under a Maul lead, he will be extremely elusive against Jedi and will gain loads of turn meter on top of his already very high speed. My biggest problems, and they are very addressable, is mainly he is very squishy if you do not give him the Zeta Man. A couple hits from TIE Fighter Pilot, which he is my biggest fear when using Darth Sidious, can wipe him out. The Zeta does help out, protection mods do help out, as I will soon tell you. Other problems I have are his leader ability. Unless you have a lot of speed mods, he's going to be a tough leader to use. The game right now, it's all about who can get out first, and Darth Maul helps characters get out there in battle really quickly, but Darth Sidious will be good as a leader for those first-time players. It's a really great catch-all leader ability, but I'm pretty sure you will get rid of it pretty soon once you start unlocking more characters. Last problem I have with him, I will explain in the mortal enemies and best friends, but when looking at mortal enemies, mainly characters that can apply ability block or increase cooldowns such as Boba Fett, Dooku, Darth Nihilus are a pretty big threat. Not being able to use demoralizing blows is a big problem for him. Stun is also an issue. Palpatine, Dooku, all those guys, if you stun him, not doing anything. Characters that help their team become immune to critical hits are an issue because that means less damage over time being applied, as well as characters that feed off of critical damage like Rex make it a very tough time to use Darth Sidious. and other things, daze, healing immunity, shock, prevent him from gaining a lot of turn meter. Lastly, if there are cleansers on the other team, that makes it a lot more difficult for Darth Sidious to apply all those damage over times, which makes him a very viable character. And now we look at his best friends that he likes to hang out with, and like all the other Sith, Darth Sidious likes to hang out with all of the Sith. Each and every Sith has a strong relationship. As I mentioned earlier, if you want to do a full Sith team, Darth Maul is probably the best way to go about it because of all the turn meter bonuses and evasion bonuses, but Vader is my second favorite leader for Darth Sidious. Having those constant damage over times that never disappear is very, very powerful under a Darth Vader Zeta lead. Nihilus is probably my least favorite leader for Sidious since he cannot gain health upon enemies being defeated and cannot apply loads of damage over time. But there are a lot of other ways you can use him. Any character that can apply debuffs are great for Darth Sidious. Any character that gives advantage is great, such as Captain Phasma. You can make him work under a Captain Phasma lead or Captain Phasma by his side. His kit makes him flexible, and there are just a lot of ways you can play around with it. Let's go and talk about the mods now, and of course with Sith, you gotta talk about two separate mods because if you have a Darth Nihilus lead, that totally changes everything. But if you're not using Darth Nihilus as a leader, critical damage and chance mod sets to increase his damage output are great to ensure he is applying as much damage and damage over time as possible. There are plenty of clips where he goes ahead and gets over 11,000 damage just on his basic. Offense mods for more damage output, speed mod sets to make him faster, potency mods to increase his potency, and even health mods when he has his Zeta are great to increase his health pool. Primary and secondary mods really need to be focused on speed. You need speed on top of speed to make sure he opens up in battle and applies that expose as early as possible. If you are not giving him his Zeta, then give him a big plus sign mod that gives him 24% potency to make sure his debuffs stick all the time. When Nihilus is leading, just completely forget about any sort of critical chance and critical damage mods since they will do you literally no good. For the sets, focus on health mods, speed mods, and offense mods, or even potency mods if you want to. Same story for primary and secondary mods, especially just keep focusing on that speed, health to increase his health pool, offense, and protection especially because you want as much protection to be converted into health before Nihilus's leader ability kicks in. And the last thing we have is Yoda's do or do not checklist, and I'm quickly going to go through and let you know if Darth Sidious is good in a particular area of the game. Arena, definitely do. Most of the gameplay I'm showing today is me participating in Arena with him, and I've been using him every single day since his minor rework. Galactic War, definitely do. He's a great leader. I play around with him as a leader sometimes, and just behind the scenes, he is great. Dark side battles, definitely do. Cantina battles, do. Mod challenges, no Sith mod challenges, so we'll go ahead and say do not. Ships, do not, but I can suspect they give him some sort of a ship one day. Rancor raid, definitely do. If you have a Darth Vader Zeta, you can solo the whole entire raid, and I made a video about that not too long ago. For the AAT raid, I will say do. There's plenty of videos out there with him going ahead, being a leader. You get some decent damage, and there's also Darth Vader Zetas. Under Darth Vader Zeta, he applies a ton of damage over time, so we will go ahead and say do. You guys already know how I rank Darth Sidious, but let's just pull up the Hall of Fame so you can check it one more time. As I review characters, I could take this moment and always revise them and move people around, but Darth Sidious, since I just revised the list a few days ago, he is not moving and he is staying in the Master category. So I hope you guys enjoyed this video, a lot of information, and hopefully you can take that and make it into something because Darth Sidious is a fantastic character once more. Could use more work, but he is great the way he stands today. So be sure you go ahead and farm him, especially you beginner players. He is a great character to start off with and can be used in many circumstances. If you enjoyed this video and would like to contribute to the channel somehow, there is a link down below in the description to go ahead and purchase an Arnold T101 t-shirt, or just as helpful, go ahead and like this video, comment down below on who you would like to see next for a review, and as always, subscribe for more Star Wars Galaxy of Heroes content, and we will talk again soon. Peace out!